Welcome back to another episode of Hear Me Out. I'm Ghayass
I'm Scott again.
again, and today we're going to talk about some backpacking stories from Scott's little vacation. This is a Scott special. Happy birthday, Scott.
Thank you. Woo. 21. That's a little bit older than I want to be, but that's not even that old. yeah. Yeah. A little bit. But
21, any big plans?
nope. It's already passed. Like, there were no big plans to begin with. There will be no big plans to end with. So I think we're just turning 21 and living in sorrow that I'm getting older. I think that's a play, yeah. What about you? Are you going to do anything for your birthday?
I just turned 21
Oh, okay.
at the start of September. Scott?
Didn't know that, but yeah.
No big plans, just here, just at SFU, just at work. But
Yeah.
I know you've been up to big things.
No, I have
Before.
not.
Let me get my intro.
Okay, yeah.
Before hitting 21, and I know you went on a backpacking trip.
I did, yes. I think I hit about 11? No, wait. Yeah, 11 countries,
11.
which is a fun number. Put a nice hole in the bank account, but
Mhm.
I think it was worth the experiences, worth like kind of all the memories, as they say.
Mhm.
But I think it's more like I get to see a different area of life, and you get to explore a lot
Mhm.
about yourself when you're there. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What were your fondest memories? Like, where did you go? Let's start with there. Let's
Okay,
start there.
if you want to go the full thing, so I started off in Germany because I have family in Germany.
Mhm. German.
So yeah, I'm half German. There's your context if you want to steal my identity. So start off in Germany. Then I went up to I took my first train, and my first train was a night train. And night trains are terrible, but they get you where you need to go, and they're fairly cheap. I took, I think, 3 of them, and I didn't sleep on all 3 of them. The main thing is, so I took a train up to Hamburg, and then Hamburg in Germany there's a train that went all the way up to Copenhagen in 6 hours, except that train is normally about 3 hours, so it would just stop for like a full an hour at half the stations. So that was like okay, but it was just very, you stop, and then you've been on a train for like an hour, so you want to step outside for a bit.
Yeah.
Then you walk around for like 30 minutes, and then you're woken up again by the train starting up again.
Yeah.
So this
So-
kind of thing. So then Denmark, and then I went to Sweden.
Mhm.
Then back to Denmark in the same day, because Copenhagen and Malmo are like right beside each other. So I went to Malmo to meet my friend. My friend and I went to Copenhagen, spent the day in Copenhagen, walked for like 6-7 hours straight, Copenhagen, and then went back to Malmo because he has cousins in Malmo. And yeah, I played soccer with some kids in Malmo. That was pretty fun. Ironically, Persian kids in Malmo, so very interesting.
Persian
Maybe not
kids.
exactly the Swedish experience,
Mhm.
because for dinner they made me tacos,
Okay.
which is very cool. And they were like the sweetest people ever.
Okay.
Not Swedish though. Well, they are Swedish, but
Okay.
and then so after that, I went Sweden all the way back down through Germany.
Mhm.
Spent a day in Hamburg. Then I went to Cologne.
Okay.
Cologne was interesting to say the least. So Cologne is where I meet like my first kind of wacky character.
Okay.
So first night, I book into my hotel. There's an Australian girl there, who's just staying for one night.
Mhm.
She's on the lower bunk, and I go to put my stuff down on my bunk, and there's already like the sheets are messed up, the beds are merged together. So I was just kind of assuming, okay, someone's already taken this bunk.
Yeah.
The top bunk doesn't look like anyone's there, so I'll just take the top bunk. Like, I want the top bunk anyways.
Yeah.
So I take that.
Okay.
Then the problem comes that I don't see the other guy that's staying in the room there.
Okay.
But what I do know about him is he's Georgian. Why do I know this? Because when I was in Germany, the Euros are happening. It's like a big soccer tournament there. So I go and I see the Georgian flag, and I'm like, okay, so there's a Georgia match. Like, I'm pretty sure they're going to be playing. It's going to be Georgia versus Spain in a couple of days. So he's probably just staying there and then, going on to the next match.
Mhm.
So I sleep, and then at like 2 a.m., I hear some noises. Like, I'm still pretty asleep though, and I just feel something grab my leg. I'm like, what?
Oh, this is kind of kinky.
I would. Um, so a hand is on my leg. And I'm like, what the hell? I think the guy, he's a little bit drunk, so he
Yeah.
takes his hand off, but like kind of grabs my leg in the process.
Okay.
Motor skills were not there. Climbs down. I just try and go back to sleep. I don't bother confronting the guy.
Mhm.
So I wake up at about 7:30 in the morning. Keep in mind, he came back at 2 o'clock, and he is already drunk on Jack Daniels, halfway through a bottle at 7 o'clock in the morning. Insane dedication to being a Georgia fan. So we talked for a bit because I'm also a big soccer fan. So talk for a bit, and we kind of go our separate ways. But yeah, getting my leg grabbed by a Georgian man in the first day wasn't really what I expected. That was like my first night staying in a hostel too, which is kind of weird.
Bucket list item.
Yeah, yeah.
Really?
So then I went on to my friend who I spent like about half the trip with. He had his girlfriend fairly close to a city in Cologne,
Mhm.
so I went there next. And that was quite fun because I got to meet her. They've been dating long distance for a bit, so that was really cool. She's really sweet. And there I meet kind of my next person who's really cool, a guy called Tony.
Okay.
So there are a couple things you need to know about Tony. One,
Lay it on me.
I met him how you meet anyone in Europe, which is drinking. That's
Okay.
the nice thing about Europe compared to Vancouver. You will meet everyone, and they will always be at a bar. But people at a bar are willing to talk to you, which is a really cool part.
Mhm.
So we get sat next to him because that's where the only good TV of the soccer game is. And so me and Tony, we get to talking. Turns out he had an American accent,
Okay.
but he was born in Portugal, went to America when he was 2, spent his entire life growing up near Boston.
Okay.
Doesn't have the Boston accent though, thank God. But he had studied economics. We hate the Boston accent.
Okay.
He studied economics, finance, and like he was telling me, I got to chatting to him later. And I'll explain why I chatted to him again in a sec. But
There's information.
he lives in Europe, in
Okay.
Portugal,
Okay.
in an Airbnb because he rents about like 5 different Airbnbs to tourists for like a ton of money. Just pays off all the houses.
Oh, let's use the
Lives the
landlord.
life. Literally just drinks beer, rents out the apartments. That's all he does. So he
Okay.
lives like the typical European life. Good for him, honestly.
Good time.
So he was pretty cool.
Mhm.
And I was looking to go to a Euros game because if you're a big soccer fan, you want to go to a Euros game because Euros games are like the peak, well, one of the peaks of soccer.
Mhm.
So I kind of get talking to him, and it turns out he has Euros tickets. And it turns out he bought an extra ticket. He didn't know why he bought an extra ticket. He was hoping to sell it to a Portugal fan.
Okay.
But I mentioned to him, like, hey, I really want to go to a game. And he's like, I think I have a spare ticket to the next game. And I'm like, well, hey,
Okay.
I kind of need a ticket. And so we get to talking. He gives me the ticket, but it's in another city in the next week. So I have to wrap up what I'm doing there within a week and then head to Frankfurt for the game. But lucky for me, it's not that bad. I kind of spend the next day with my friend and his girlfriend, and then that night I have to catch the train back. On the train back to where I was staying, there was a couple of people that were on the train, kind of got on before, and then all of a sudden, everyone gets on at one stop. And the reason is because it was a bunch of Spain fans from the Spain versus Georgia game that suddenly the match had just finished. They're on the train. They need to get back to their accommodation. So now the train is packed full of people.
Okay.
This is at 11 o'clock at night. And so we get going about 20 minutes after all the fans have boarded. All of a sudden, a guy starts yelling in German. Keep in mind, the train is full of Spanish people,
Okay.
most of which don't speak German. I, despite the fact I'm German, don't speak much German.
Mhm.
And all I hear is him saying epileptic seizure. So 20 minutes into the train,
What do you mean by that?
he just goes epileptic seizure, like I'm having some, call for help. Roughly what he says in German.
Okay.
And then just very, very calmly, I cannot describe, like, it looked like this man was just going to bed, sits down, lies down, head back, and just starts having a full-on epileptic seizure. And I'm telling you, like, first off, it's crazy how like accurate the movies get it. Like it looks exactly like it does in the movies. Like,
Really?
full like mouth foaming and everything, like the shaking. It's quite violent, the shaking. And so, because obviously none of us are medical professionals, the only thing you do is, I think, don't take me word for word, but he just hold the back of his head, make sure he's not banging against anything, make sure he stays relatively still, and then we call the train for help. I
Okay.
get a little bit lucky here because I actually boarded this train without a ticket. And I saw that the train conductor was walking up the train towards us, checking tickets on the way up. So, shout out to whoever had the epileptic seizure. First off, you're fine. Thank God you're fine. But you low-key saved me from getting my ticket checked and me having to get off at a stop early. So I do appreciate that.
Epileptic shout out.
Yeah. And that guy was so he had the epileptic seizure, and it must have been hell because it was for about like 15 minutes until we get to the next stop. And for whatever reason, we get there, the ambulance, the paramedics are there, but the paramedics, for whatever reason, are just walking up the ramp with the stretcher. Like, absolutely no urgency or anything. They're just walking, chilling, like they're having like some cool movie moment where I swear they're walking in slow-mo. But yeah, the guy ends up being fine. He wakes up fully conscious, fully okay, just coughing a lot because he has a lot of saliva in his mouth, obviously. And so that was like the first kind of, well, what happened here? But yeah, got my ticket not checked. And so this does actually matter. And the reason why it's important is because I bought something that only gets me train tickets for 15 days. So I can take any train I want, but I can only do it for 15 days.
Okay.
Pretty good deal.
Mhm.
But the main problem is obviously that like I don't want to use my days. So on the regional routes, a lot of people do this, and this is not my legal advice, but
It's a life hack.
yeah, say you want to wait until the last possible moment to activate your train ticket. So train conductors will come up to you and they'll scan the ticket, but ideally, you first say, "Oh, I don't have Wi-Fi right now. Give me a second. I need Wi-Fi to activate it." So at the next train stop, come back and check. And then you pray they don't check because you do have data, obviously. But you know, then what you do is you pray that they don't come back, and you wait until the very last moment until you have to activate it. So my friend managed to save like 7 days of train tickets doing this.
Okay.
He gets super lucky. I managed to do 2, but I end up paying about like 60 euros in fines because you can kind of just say like, oh, I don't really understand what's going on, but you have to book reservation fees for some.
Okay.
And that ends up anyway. Point being, he gets lucky. I don't. He doesn't pay a single fine. Gets like 7 days free. Pure luck. Yeah.
But do you feel like that has something to do with like you not being from there?
No, because he's Persian, so he definitely doesn't look like he's from there. So he so he ends up just skipping out. I do look like I'm from there because I am quite literally German. Got the blonde hair, blue eyes.
Unfortunately.
Represent 1940s. So
Shout out Matthew.
yeah, shout out No, don't shout out. Don't. We're not shouting them out. We're not shouting them out. We're not actually shouting them out. But yeah. So we go there. And then like yeah, the rest is like I'm on to Italy, Slovakia, Croatia, not Croatia, sorry, not Croatia. Prague, then Germany again, then France, Switzerland, England, then we go Belgium, Luxembourg, and Amsterdam to end
Mhm.
off. So there's like the fun kind of whole journey there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
That-
can go into more stories, but I feel like I'm just gonna be
We're gonna be here a bit. I
Okay.
mean, we'll definitely do an episode with like the whole stories. Get to the
Yeah.
deed of it, you know.
Yeah.
That's an interesting one.
Mhm.
So when you go around traveling for all of this, like,
Yeah.
do you have like something in mind that you want to do? Because I know you're going to like 11 countries. You
So
know?
yeah, like the thing is I did a very silly thing and I didn't fully plan everything in advance.
Okay.
The worst thing you can do is like go to a city with no plan, and I did that a lot of times. Um I think the bigger thing was that a lot of the time a lot of the things are like fairly low lines,
Mm-hmm.
and pretty easy to like navigate.
Mm-hmm.
So the worst scenario that I got caught in, like waiting for a line, was about 2 hours for the Vatican.
Okay.
And that kind of sucked, because you're like in the scorching room heat for 2 hours. But the bright side about that is there are a lot of scammers there, that are just trying to drag you away. Nearly fell for one, didn't. And then we get to the desk, and this is like the best part. So we get to the desk, and European Union's citizens, which your boy is with that German passport,
Okay, flex.
we get a lot of discounts on a lot of museums.
Mhm.
So for my friend, yeah, he didn't have to pay the train fines, but he had to pay like pretty much double on all the museums that we went to. So for example, for the Vatican, it was about €6 for me. It was about €20 for him. So nice steep increase. The best part was that when I show, she says, "Oh, 2 tickets for like international." I'm like, actually, I'm a German citizen, and she just gives me a face of like full on shocked face of like, "You're German?" And I'm like, I mean, kinda. And she asked me to speak a little bit of German. I can speak a bit of German.
Speak German for the news.
Ein bisschen Deutsch. Just means a little German, by the way.
Oh.
And she was like, cool. The lady was really chill, though. Most of the Vatican workers are just like random citizens of Rome. They're not like priests, which kind of suck. Speaking of which, yeah, that sounds a lot worse than it came. No religious trauma on this podcast. But it's the funniest thing about the Vatican, and Kofi, if you can ring this up, that'd be really cool. Can you look up the Vatican City guard uniforms? Because that was something that caught me really off guard. That you're kind of just, yeah, you're kind of just walking around, and you see these guards that are in these straight up clown costumes.
What does that remind me of, Lord Farquaad?
Yeah, it literally
his
it literally is that of like they're wearing this orange and blue like striped pajama costumes. And hey, I don't understand the significance of it. Very sorry, but I'm sure there's a lot of history there. I'm sure there's a lot of functionality lost there, is what I'll say. But yeah, they look really funny moving around as well because they just got like the bloated thighs, like legs. And so
like
they
a
just
puff
look
balloon.
like they look like the Michelin Man moving around. It's really funny. And yeah, and now I'm about to admit that I committed a crime in the Vatican.
Oh.
So you do the whole tour, and you get to the best part about the tour. Well, one of the best parts is the Sistine Chapel. And so it's this amazing, well, chapel that's got like paintings by, I believe it's Da Vinci. I want to say it might be Michelangelo.
Da Vinci.
Da Vinci, yeah, it might be Da Vinci. Yeah, Sistine Chapel. I believe it's Da Vinci.
Yeah.
You can fact check me on that. But it is like some of the best artwork. Am I wrong? Michelangelo. Damn it. So it's Michelangelo.
You got it. You were close.
Yeah, close enough. I did say it. But you go, and I didn't see the sign that said no pictures.
Okay.
You're not allowed to take pictures of it whatsoever, despite the fact that the most famous painting, including, I forget what it's called, but it's like God and Adam touching, or like having their fingers outstretched,
Oh.
is right there. And so I take the pictures. I'm going up the wall, and then I get tapped by a tour guide saying, "Don't take pictures. Don't take pictures." I'm like, "Oh, sorry." I'm very lucky. It was a tour guide telling me this, not someone from the Vatican, because people from the Vatican will actually make you delete it. That's how much they're very secure about them not doing that. I'm pretty sure they can take action against you because you're technically in the Vatican. You're in a country. So I mean the pictures are online anyways. Like it's not like I'm
the
really
biggest
losing
point.
out
Yeah.
on a bunch, but I don't have to delete the pictures, so they're still on my phone. You can't touch me, Vatican. Neither can your priests. And
you have access to that.
yeah.
Are you gonna blackmail them on that?
No. I don't think they care enough, to be honest. But yeah, that was kind of a fun thing that I did.
Mm-hmm.
That's a crime I got away with. But the Vatican is incredible. It's almost as bad as the London Museum, though. The British Museum, just like the amount of like stolen stuff there is
Yeah.
incredible. And that was a really cool part. Then the Colosseum's overrated.
Mhm.
That's about it. Not much more there. And then I was on to like Austria, Slovakia, that kind of
Okay.
yeah.
What happened over there? What happened in Slovakia?
Yeah. So Bratislava was like the time I got the most drunk on the trip.
Okay.
So I get to Bratislava. And,
Wait, before we get there,
yeah.
what is your drink to get drunk?
Oh, that's a good question.
Like- Especially being there, like in Europe.
Oh, vodka.
Vodka?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a big vodka guy.
What would you drink to get turned?
Well, if you want, can I have that glass there actually? Right there.
Not the beer sleeve.
Yeah. So we'll talk about getting drunk because that's part of where the story begins.
Okay.
So in Bratislava, I actually booked myself into something called a party hostel.
Okay.
It's essentially just a frat house in Europe. Mainly in Eastern Europe is where the party hostels happen. But lucky me, I completely by accidentally booked into this. I figured it out on the day one. So they have two things that they host there. They have a night swim
Okay.
and they have a bar crawl. They also have a
Okay.
sketchy bar crawl that starts at like 12 p.m. I don't want to do that. I'm not about that life. But that was I arrived on the night that I did the bar crawl. I didn't feel like going out that night. So instead I went out for the night swim the next night.
Okay.
So I meet like a squad of 4 people. One's a Canadian, one's someone from the UK, and another is someone from New Zealand, and then we're rolling as a squad of 4. And so before the night starts, we're like, we don't think there's gonna be much alcohol here. I don't think it's gonna be worth it. Like, you know what? Let's pregame a little bit. Mistake.
Okay.
If we were worried about there not being enough alcohol, there was way too much, if anything. So I mentioned that vodka is my go-to drink.
Mhm.
And that is because in Bratislava they had these strawberry vodkas, and so I'm there thinking, you know what, strawberry vodka is gonna be like. Well, normally, they'll put like 2 shots of vodka, 1 shot maybe,
Yeah.
rest like strawberry juice. So you get to the bar, and the bartender is, I think this, like, he had a reputation. He like had a reputation as a bartender. Like,
Okay.
I want to say his name was Connor, but I'm not sure there. But yeah, he was known. He was warned about at the front desk.
Okay.
And we go up to him and like, you're given three drink tickets. And I go up to him and I say, hey, can I have this? And he's like, sure, what do you want? I want strawberry vodka. And then he says, do you want a strawberry vodka or a vodka strawberry? And so I'm like, let's do a vodka strawberry. Big mistake. Because I'm not a heavy drinker. Say that the cup is about yay big, up to the logo here. Fills it half with vodka. And I downed 3 of these things in an hour. So there's like, maybe like, I don't know, 9-10 shots of vodka.
You have a whole Mickey in yourself at this point.
Yeah. Plus, we had bought in a 4-pack of beer. Shout out Bratislava, because that 4-pack of beer was €1.50, which conversion rate is about $2.67.
What? Kobe, fact check that.
You want it? $2.24 for a 4-pack of beer.
What the fuck?
I know we're going for an XCMSU social, boys. I know where we're going. And like the entire place is run with volunteers, so pretty much everyone at that hostel goes to get drunk. And so they tell you not to bring your phone because people lose it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cocky at the start. I'm like, I can bring my phone. That's gonna be no problem. First vodka strawberry in, I'm like, I gotta get back to my room. I can barely get back to my room.
First one in?
Dude, because it's like 3 shots. I had nothing today, and I had been walking the entire day. Big mistakes were made. So I'm like, kind of like, I'm dizzy. I'm like, my vision's blurry getting back to my room.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like the first one. Then the next 2, like, I am feeling absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had someone full on like punch me like in the shoulder. Absolutely no problems. Like, could not feel a thing.
Okay.
And then on top of that, I had another beer. Plus, I was having vodka, like, with the shots as well. And this is like nearly a bare minimum for most of the people there. And we haven't even gotten to the lake swim part.
Oh.
So now, after an hour and a half of this, we go and we take the train to a lake in the middle of Bratislava. So it's about a 10-minute walk away from the train station, and we start walking. We get there, and I'm like, okay, let's do the smart thing. Let's sober up a little bit before I get into the water, because I can't see straight.
Yeah.
And so I sit by the side, a little bit further back of the water, just to make sure I'm not like stumbling anywhere. And they start a fire pit out on the side. What I didn't know is some people apparently want to skinny dip on this. Yeah, okay. Like fully everything. You can guess which gender preferred to skinny dip. It was the guys. And so that's fine. Like, whatever, do your thing. They had mentioned that there was going to be some skinny dipping on the train.
Okay.
And so when I go, I'm just kind of looking around. I saw my friends in the water. I let them swim, and then I look over to the fire pit. And have you guys ever had those moments where you talk? You're like talking with your friends, and then for whatever reason, you're talking in like a busy environment, and for whatever reason, everyone just kind of like goes quiet for like a split second, while you get louder and you say something a little bit off-putting, right?
Yeah.
Like, and it's like kind of one of those serene moments where it's just like, oh, everything has opened up perfectly for this awkward thing to happen. Mm-hmm. I had the physical version of that. So I'm looking down at the fire pit. My friend's actually taking some pictures in the background. And for whatever reason, people are like shuffling around talking about. And then out of nowhere, as my friend's taking pictures, a gap opens up in the thing. And my friend snaps a picture, and you look perfectly straight down, and there's just a guy standing there, nothing on, schlong out, half erect, just standing right behind the fire pit. in like a perfect moment. Like there is a perfect through line straight to him in that moment for about the 1 second that my friend took a picture. That you just get the exact perfect angle of that guy and his schlong out.
Oh.
Absolutely like better than yours. No. I'm not gonna do that because that's a little bit weird. It was actually. It was actually. I think that's probably why that guy went skinny dipping. He was hoping to get lucky.
Oh.
No. That was a boring trip in terms of that. But you didn't come, Matthew.
It would have been different if you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, the next day I have to wake up at 7 a.m. to get my train out. So I wake up at 7 a.m. after getting back at like 3 a.m. drunk, like hungover. And my friend had actually somehow left on the earlier train. And I'm like, where are you going? And he's like, a city called Brunel. I'm like, cool. I guess we go to Brunel.
Mm-hmm.
And his train got delayed for 4 hours. Mine is there for 1.5. And so I ended up meeting with him in Brunel. We ended up stumbling upon a EuroLeague women's basketball player doing like her media shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And for whatever reason, this is like one of the only things I can remember about this day that's really interesting about Brunel. They, for some reason, just have a crocodile hanging in the middle of a hallway.
Kofi, can you pull up a picture
Kofi,
of that?
Look up BRNO crocodile.
We're gonna put it up back there too.
And it's just like a crocodile hanging from a hallway. Yeah. So this is kind of what just hanging there.
Oh.
No reason.
Is that
just
like-
hanging there.
Is that like a real crocodile?
Like
Like a taxidermy?
honestly not sure. Not sure. A little high up for me to touch, but yeah, just a crocodile hanging there. Then the rest of the trip was pretty like straightforward. Just did all like the tourist stuff in all the tourist cities, and yeah, that's kind of all that's kind of like the fun aspects ended there. I got drunk with my cousin in Germany. Had a lot of doner, like a lot of doner. Watched the Olympics in London. Stumbled upon a beach volleyball tournament in Brussels of all places. And then I'm really annoyed because the worst mistake I made was I should have done something called walking tours. And like essentially you go around the city and like you have a tour guide explain to you and you pay like €5 for it and you learn the entire history of the city. And I wish I had done that more. I did that in Amsterdam. It was like a highlight of the trip.
Right.
So Amsterdam's pretty cool. Go to Amsterdam. And like on my last night there, I go to a park. I sit down, and someone lies down next to me. And this is Amsterdam. If you don't know what Amsterdam is known for, it is known for the access to the devil's lettuce. And right next to me, there is a guy who I look to my left, and he's lying down, and he looks in peace. And I stand up, I go by him, and I look at him, and he's got the widest smile, eyes wide open, was not blinking for like 10 seconds, did not notice me the entire time I was staring at him, and he's just stiff as a board, lying there, happy as all hell that he is in Amsterdam and gone out of his mind.
Oh God.
So that's Amsterdam for you, but it's a beautiful city.
I need to go for the devil's lettuce then.
No,
I need to be on the lettuce he's on, because
right. I mean, he's on something special. But you can literally walk into pretty much any cafe, and like, yeah,
he done.
you'll find something.
I mean, and we have a piece of that here too. It's called the Amsterdam Cafe.
Yeah,
Same idea.
same idea.
There you
Except
go.
it's genuine Amsterdam cafe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but those are like kind of the cooler stories I have.
Cooler
from Europe,
stories? Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, before we wrap it up, what is one thing you regret from the trip that you wish you didn't do?
That I didn't do.
Didn't do. Apart from obviously being unlawful in the Vatican City?
That's fine. Ooh, that's a fun
Like
one.
one thing or like one hot take in a way. You know?
Hot take: France sucks.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. That's not really a hot take. People,
that's
people
lukewarm
who-
at this point.
people who travel to France know France is not it.
Mm.
Like completely useless. But if you want an actual hot take, Venice kind of sucked. Like, the city itself is beautiful, but Amsterdam is more like Venice than I was expecting. Like, it's full of
Mhm.
canals
Mhm.
throughout the whole city, but it's like still very kind of upbeat, modern, feels more alive.
Mhm.
And the worst part about Venice is that there is public transport, but obviously it's on the sea. And so every single time you want to transport somewhere, you have to pay €9.50, which is about, Kofi, if you can currency convert that, it's about $15, I believe. Yeah. Yeah. So pretty much $15 every single time you want to get from like kind of one bar place to another.
Mhm.
And so the hotel that I was staying at was a really nice hotel, except every single time I wanted to go there, I had to pay €9.50, and every single time I wanted to go back, €9.50.
That's
So it was a
dumb.
money drain. You need to stay on like the main body of water if you want to go there. But yeah, that was kind of a waste of. I will say I don't think it was worth it, Venice,
Mm.
because also like a lot of it is so touristy. It's a nice place
Yeah.
to go on your parents' money, I think.
Okay.
That's my trip to the young people.
Yeah.
When you have money, it's probably nice to go to. If you don't have money, maybe just
Yeah.
go to, well, not Rome because that's expensive. Go to Amsterdam. Go to Amsterdam.
Amsterdam is where's that?
Amsterdam's the place to go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? What did you get up to this summer?
I've just been working, unfortunately. You know, me and my cactus.
Hey,
We're lit. We're lit. We're together.
go Cactus. Good for
Go
you.
cactus. Yep. There we go. We're serving. We're
Yeah.
up. But I remember going to France when I was really young
Mm.
for Disneyland.
Yeah. France Disneyland. Okay.
Paris.
Paris.
Disneyland.
Oh. Yeah.
Listen, I don't hate. I was really young.
No. I don't. I'm not hating on you. I'm hating on Paris.
My favorite food. I really like this candied apple I got from Disneyland. Or these Eggo. No, wait. There was these buns that had chocolate chips in it. They were so good.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you've
I-
had anything similar like that there.
No.
It seemed to be something for the French.
I just had
you
a
know.
lot of pain chocolate.
Mm.
Yeah, that's kind of the shout when you're in Europe, to be honest.
Would you say a place here has good pain au chocolat?
No. The
Pain
answer,
au
the
chocolat.
answer is that bread here is commercialized
Oh.
to all hell. So the bread here actually sucks compared to the rest of the world. Like this, like we pay, it's horrible. Canada's bread statistics are horrible. We pay
Bread statistics.
some of the most expensive. We have some of the most expensive bread in the world at some of the lowest quality in the world. Like
Utah.
Dempster's. I might get a job from you. Yeah.
Okay, listen. If I need a $2 loaf of bread, Dempster's coming. in.
No, if you need a $2 loaf of bread, you know what? You can get a much better tasting bread for a lot cheaper in Europe. I kid you not. Bread there is like 50 cents. No problem. It's so easy. It's so like breakfast was every day was like €3 for me.
Really?
So nice. But here, if I want any kind of breakfast, I'm paying like $15 for some of the worst bread I've eaten.
That's true. That's
Except for
wild.
Cobb's bread. I love you, Cobb's bread. Yeah, Cobb's bread, shout out.
Please
sponsor
sponsor
us.
us.
Sponsor.
Please.
Shout out. We'll endorse you. We'll do a full podcast on
Yep.
Cobb's.
Every single green screen will just be Cobb's bread.
Yeah. You'll have like a... Yeah. This is any sponsor except for Dempster's, really.
Yeah. Just not them.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's all I got for my bread statistics, to be honest.
Those are good statistics. I didn't know those were a thing.
Yeah. Look into bread statistics.
Looking
Quite
at it.
interesting. Canada's got poor ones.
Mm-hmm. I had a question that slipped my mind, but that's okay.
That's all
Yeah, I think that's fun. It's interesting. It's an interesting story, you know, when you backpack because you're all alone. And
Yeah.
you're not restricted by doing something specific because your family wants to do it.
Yeah, I think the fun part is that like you pretty much do like you can wake up and decide to go to a different city.
Yeah.
And like that's kind of like what I was doing for some of it. Like I would it's very like not freeing necessarily, but it opens your mind up to like how much you can do.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
it surprised me how quick I can like sort out food and like dinner and accommodation and like travel to the accommodation like really quickly.
Yeah.
And I think it's a nice lesson in like I guess like practicing preparation and
Yeah.
like dealing with the lack of it as well.
Yeah.
Like you just have to adapt to things, and I'd make that sound like it's like, oh, you're adapting every step of the way. Like there are different ways to do it. I
Yeah.
did it in a very like, oh, free. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I want when I feel like it, with like a rough idea of dates. Like, oh, I want to be in this place at this time.
Yeah.
But in general, like I don't know, you just look for fun.
Yeah.
And like I think a lot of it is you make the
Good
most out
memories.
of it.
Yeah.
Like you have to make the most out of it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Good character development. Yeah.
Yeah, good
Yeah.
character. Good
There
lore.
you go. Good
Good
lore.
dad lore.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dad lore.
Yeah.
That's it for today's episode. If you want to hear more about Scott and his stories, maybe let us know. Today it's 30 minutes of Scott yapping.
Yeah.
Maybe tomorrow it's an hour.
Yeah, I mean, we've definitely never had segments of me yapping before.
Definitely not. This
Yeah.
is one of the first.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.